Are you one of those expats who believe that there is no crime in Panama? Well, you are wrong. Keep watching. Hey, friends. Welcome back to Single Women Retiring Abroad. I'm Maggie, your host. Yes, it happened. Yes, there is crime in Panama. Yes, I got robbed. I was explaining what happened to me to a couple of my lady friends, and she's like, "You say you robbed. I thought maybe you were robbed at gunpoint." And I'm like, "Oh, watch your tone. Watch your tone. No, no, no. We don't have those kind of things in Panama. Thank you, Lord." So I went to do some research and see the difference between petty theft, grand theft, robbery. Well, you know what? If somebody gets into my backpack, which is how it happened, and take my wallet, something that belongs to me, and went and charged thousands of dollars, that's considered robbery. Also, robbery usually involves taking something by force or with unwillingness. I wasn't willing to give my wallet, right? So, sis, allow me to be dramatic. I got robbed. I'm going to tell you how it happened and, spill the tea, give you all the details. And at the end, I am going to give you 10 tips to keep you safe, to keep you from becoming a victim like I was. Because, as single, seasoned ladies, we have to have a heightened level of awareness of our surroundings because we can't rely on somebody else to protect us. We are our own bodyguard, right? All right, let me get into it before I'm accused of rambling again. But before we continue, remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. And guys, hopefully you saw my live. I did go live on Saturday because at 12:05, we reached our goal of reaching 2,000 subscribers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you all. And I really get a sense that we are creating a community, a family, and for that I am grateful. And I'm going to dedicate myself to sharing what I have with you because that's all I can give you is what I have, right? Because as I told you, I'm no guru, I'm not a coach, I'm not an expert in anything. It's just Maggie sharing my journey with you, helping you come over wherever you choose to retire and creating community here on the ground. All right. My fourth trip to Panama was on January. I landed here on January 25th, 2003. Of course, it's like my anniversary. I'm never going to forget that date. And of course, from the previous trips, I kept checking part of the scouting and research and data gathering. It was all visiting and going out. And even now, I still get dressed and then I go catch a bus or a train, and I'm always exploring. There is so much to discover here, this beautiful country, beautiful city. So in March, and I kept looking to see what the date was, but it doesn't matter, does it? I had hooked up with Sonia. Sonia is the woman that I interviewed in the previous video. We are friends. But last year we were really good friends because, we were kind of new and we just we latched onto each other. We were exploring together. We even went on trips together, stayed in the same hotel, that level of friendship we had. We had gone to see a beautiful museum, and I'm going to do a video to take you into the Bio Museum. If you come to Panama City, make sure you go to the Bio Museum because it really gives you a good history of Panama from prehistoric age up to now. So you would really enjoy it. So we had done that. And I remember when I got there, they asked me for my ID. So I had my wallet with me. And then we decided to go to Albrook, which I showed you in another short video. And I was telling Sonia about at the end of at both ends of that long hall, which is the what do you call it? The transportation hub there. There are two um, like mini eateries, like it's almost like a mini food court, like in a mall. So you can find Fonda type food and junk food, of course, McDonald's and Popeyes, they're all there. So I was telling Sonia about the sancocho. I had tasted the sancocho and I said that there is one little place there that they make good sancocho. You want to try it. But Sonia is Southern, okay? Not only is she a gringa, but she's Southern and she doesn't like cilantro. And the sancocho is heavy in culantro. So I knew if she didn't like cilantro, she wouldn't like culantro. So I said, well, if you don't like that, we can go to Casco Viejo, the old city, and we can eat at the Coca-Cola Cafe, which is another video because I need to show you that. It's an iconic spot. I think Panama was the first country outside of the US to sell Coca-Cola because the Coca-Cola is big here. And so they have a cafe called the Coca-Cola Cafe. And most people who come to visit end up eating lunch there. And it's a cute little place. I mean, nothing fancy, but the food is decent. So we took the metro and we got off Cinco de Mayo, which is another big metro stop. I'll do another video about that. But I knew you needed to kind of have your wits about you in that area. Well, I knew tangentially, it was like on the side there. I wasn't really paying attention. So as we crossed the street to go over to, I think, is it Avenue B, which is very busy, and most tourists know that area because you can get things, for cheap. And as we were getting onto that road, I saw a stand where they were selling plantain chips. We had gone to David and we had tasted plantain chips there, and we had been looking for them ever since. So when I saw this stand, they'll have it. If you go to Cinta Costera, I don't know what that is here, you're gonna see that they sell those. And then they have this clear plastic thing, like a card, and then you can see it, and then they fish it out and they put it in a bag and you get $1 worth. And I'm like, oh, here are some chips. And then she's like, well, let's get some. But you know what? In hindsight, when I remember it was a young, tall black male that was selling. And usually I don't see them now that I'm thinking about it. I don't see them selling that kind of stuff. But he was the one selling it. So we each got a bag. And of course, I was wearing a backpack. And we'll talk about that. Big no-no. And I opened my backpack, got my wallet, because in my backpack I had water, a towel, I had a fan, and I had a wallet this big at that time, and I put it in there. So I fished it out, paid for my chips, and then put it back in. And knowing me, sometimes, I think back and I'm like, did I maybe, inadvertently leave my backpack open? There's no way I could have done that. But now I'm thinking he was probably part of a gang of thieves, identified me and the gringa as foreigners who were like really, we were not paying attention. So we're eating our chips, we're having fun, and we are going down that stretch of road because the Coca-Cola Cafe is right at the end of that road on the edge of Casco Viejo, an area called Santa Ana, because there's a church there and the little palace there. Not palace. Anyway. So as we are walking towards the cafe, it's almost like a sixth sense. I felt somebody walking behind me. I mean, it was 12:30 in the afternoon, It wasn't late at night and it wasn't super crowded. But I felt someone, walking behind me. So I'm trying to step away to let him pass. And next thing I know, he bumped into me and then he passed me on the left and he said, "Excuse me." And then he went. Now he was wearing a hoodie. I did not think about that at the time. But you know what? I have watched so many videos about how people get pickpocketed. And I know that that's usually when they do it. Do you think that registered with me to just turn around, look in my backpack? Oh no, I was too busy eating chips and just chit-chatting and looking around, ooh and ah, because they have stores, they have stands in the middle selling apples, fruit, grapes. I was totally distracted. So he bumped into me. He was a professional, unzipped, got my wallet, zipped it back. I mean, it was fast. So 500 more meters, we get to Coca-Cola Cafe, still totally oblivious. We order, we eat, having the best time and we weren't rushed. So it wasn't like, we ate in 30 minutes because there was a little wait. So I'm talking about hour and a half, almost 2 hours. Then they brought the check and I went to pay and boom, my whole wallet was missing. And I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then I kept, thinking in my mind, well, maybe I left it at home. Maybe I didn't bring it with me. And then I said, but no, I went to the museum and I had to get in there to get my ID out and pay for my entrance fee. But it was like you starting to have this unease and you're like, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Just hoping for the best. So walk back, put Sonia on a bus to go to her house, took the metro, walked a couple of blocks to my apartment. And as I was opening the door, my iPhone started boom, 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 messages, messages, messages. Before I could even put my backpack down, I started looking at the messages and it's like, did you make this transaction? Did you? And I'm like, there were like 8 or 10 of them. And I was like, oh no. Then I knew I had been robbed. I'm using that word. I knew they had taken my wallet. So now that sinking feeling was almost paralyzing. It's like, you dumb, you know better. You watch these documentaries. You know how people get pickpocketed. And you became a victim. So, sis, if it happens to me, it can happen to you. All right now, I'm getting good. Stop what you're doing. Click like on the video, on that little hand up, share the video, and subscribe if you haven't done it yet. All you need to do is click, click, click. Come on. Now, I say I don't want to set another goal. I'm not going to tell you, but I did set a date to get to 3,000. Like, share, and subscribe. So I go to my table, to my kitchen table, and I'm sitting there looking at, I got notices from Bank of America, Chase, Apple, and I think I had like 4 credit cards. This person, as soon as he got my wallet, started charging things to a place called Peruqueria, which is like a hairdresser. He charged 1,500. The bank approved the first 1,500. When he tried it again in 10 minutes, that's when they blocked it. So all in all, they charge 4 credit cards to the tune of $6,400. My US Bank of America debit card was in my wallet as well. Big no. And then I get a note from the bank that says, oh, your balance is getting low, less than 100. He drained my checking account in the US. My Banismo bank, he drained that account too. He left like about, I think, $50. Thank you. Now, I wish I could tell you how I felt in that moment. I just felt so stupid. The same way I felt when somebody broke into our home in Florida. And what did they take actually? I think the only thing I had lost was I had my set of wedding rings, and for some reason I had them on the dresser, and that's all they took. But they opened the drawer and they were rummaging through your stuff. You feel so violated, when that happens to you. So now I started calling the banks and 800 number. Thank God I could. It's like, no, I didn't make a transaction. Please close that account. Close it, close it, close it. So it took me like 2 to 3 hours to get through both banks and then all the credit card companies. And I'll talk about the phone situation. What happened to me was that if you're coming to Panama, I tell people, get a dual SIM card where you can keep your US number on your iPhone or your Android, and then you can get a Panama number with the other SIM. I mean, your dual SIM, right? I didn't do that. Even to now, I still have two phones. I have this one with all my US information. I can WhatsApp on it. And I have this for all my local Panama transactions. What was happening, the banks were tied to my US number. This phone, when I'm away from the house and there is no Wi-Fi, no messages was coming through. Okay? So that's why it started buzzing when I got to the house, when I got close to the Wi-Fi. So, sis, all your banks, wherever you are, make sure you have access, okay? So if you have a dual SIM card, then make sure you have Wi-Fi wherever you go. That's important. So the deal was done. The deed was done. I was so hurt, so upset. And I wanted to tell you too, at the restaurant, the only way, I'm sure Sonia would have paid for my food, but the only way I was able to pay for my food, I had a $20 bill that was folded in a lot of little small, I don't want to say purse, but thing that I have. And that's what I paid with. So I was left with like maybe $9 or maybe $8 cash. So I have my Metro card, so I was able to get home. So now, when I called the bank here in Banismo, again, make sure, because I could speak Spanish, made it easier. They said, you're going to have to go to the police station and make a report, because before we can even file your report, we need the police report in hand. So there goes another saga. I looked on the internet and found where the nearest police station was. And I was in an area, it was about maybe 8 miles out. So Google Map to see how to get there. I only have $8 in cash, so I can't really, I can't Uber because I blocked all my cards. And since we're not doing the taxi thing, so I figured how to get, I think I took a metro and then I walked a little bit to get to the police station. So I walk in there. By that time, it's about 4 going on 5. And I'm like, oh, no, in Panama, things kind of they shut down, early in the afternoon. And I'm like, oh, maybe because if it's the police, maybe somebody will be there. Well, there was a gentleman and I explained to him the situation. He's like, oh, okay, toma asiento. That's my favorite term, right? Toma asiento. It's like, oh boy, here we go. So I heard it. I mean, there was no rush. He just was moving leisurely. And then I heard him make a couple of calls and nothing happened. So I'm sitting there waiting. By that time, it's like 5:30 going on 6. Then the door to the police station opened and 2 policemen walked in. And then the guy at the desk pointed to me. And the 2 guys came to me. They said, Senora, come with us. And I'm like, well, I don't know them, but they're the police, can't get anyone. Let's go. So I got in the police car with them and they're talking to each other, talking to each other. I'm catching a few things of what they're saying. Then they pull into, by that time, I'm still kind of new to the city. I'm not quite sure exactly where we're at. And we got out, we go into an office building, and there was the gentleman there. They explained the situation, pointing to me, talking about, I need to file a report. Well, the first place I went, they said, no, you don't do it here. That's why the other two guys came. So the second guy, the second place we went to, he's like, oh, no, you don't do that here. It's over there. I'm like, oh, there you go. I'm in Panama, right? So the police, we got in the car again, and they say, oh, no, we have to go somewhere else by Uncon. I'm like, oh, okay. So we're heading towards closer to Albrook. And now I know that's where, tribunal is and the judicial places are. So that made sense. So we got to the place, they explained the situation to this guy, and they took me back, and there was a young lady there. I mean, everybody's sitting there leisurely, chit-chatting, people on their phones. So the young lady sat me down and she's like, okay, ma'am, Mrs. Lazar, I need you. The good thing is that I didn't have my passport in that backpack. And oh yes, in my wallet, I had my cedula. I had my what do they call that? My residency card, my social security card, my driver's license, nursing license, everything was in there. Big no. You don't need to carry all that with you when you in these Panama streets. So, but I always keep a copy of my passport with me. And that's what saved me. I had the cedula number. I took a picture of my cedula in my phone, and I had a picture of my passport, also the page in my phone. So that's where I had to give him the information. So she started writing the report, and she wanted details. She wanted to know what time the first transaction was done, and I had to go back to all my emails where the banks were calling me, telling me about what was happening. And so we started, it took a little while, right? But I could not remember exactly when the first one started because so she's like, okay, so you're going to have to go back home and come back and give me this information because I can't complete this report until I find out when exactly they charge, which card, and at what time. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put the AC on. But anyway, so she's like, you need to come back tomorrow. And that was Friday. That was a Friday. I'm like, you open tomorrow? She said, yes. So now I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a way to get home. She said, oh, don't worry. She picked up the phone. She called the cops. The same two nice, handsome looking gentlemen came. They came back and picked me up and took me home. So I had to give him my address and, in El Carmen, I don't know why, but a lot of people don't know their own city because it's always like, oh, where is it again? Which PH? And I'm like, put it in the Google map. That's how anyway. So finally they took me home and like, thank you. But now I'm thinking I need to go back tomorrow and I have $8 to my name. So the next day, I found the information after reviewing all my email, the alerts. Let's say I took a metro to Albrook, and from Albrook, I figured because it's so close to Albrook, I can take a cab for maybe $2 and go there, and that's what I did. And that's when I got in the cab with this guy, and he kind of proposed to me. He said to me, are you married? I'm like, no, I'm divorced. I'm like, are you married? He said, yeah, I'm married, but my wife is in Texas. She only comes home 2 or 3 times a year. I'm like, oh, what kind of marriage is that? He said, well, that's okay. I'll divorce her and marry you. And I was like, I don't have anything now because They took everything I had. But anyway, I thought it was funny. And he had the nerve to call me, text me the next day to say, "Oh, this is taxi driver. Hey," I'm like, oh my God. So I go back to the place, administrative, judicial, something. The young lady wasn't there. So I got a gentleman who's like, "Oh, well, we're short staffed. It's only two of us here. We can't do this report for you. You have to come back on Monday." Yeah. So I had to call this gentleman. That's how he got my number. I had to call him to come get me and take me back home. And I don't remember. Maybe I had some cash laying around. And that's how I went back on Monday, gave the young lady the information. She printed this long report. And then as soon as I left that office, I walked to the bank to Banitsmo, filed my report, and Banitsmo's like, "Oh, it might take 6 months before you get your money back, blah, blah, blah." And then they said, "Now you're going to have to pay for enhanced security." So that's what I did. I'm paying a few dollars a month for enhanced security. Whew, let me tell you. So now I'm in the city. I don't know if Sonia gave me some money, but it was like I felt like a newborn. I didn't have anything to my name. And I think I was worried a little bit about my identity. And then the police, the person at the place where I did the report, they said, "Okay, we have cameras, in the city. If they find this young man, they'll let you know." But he had a hoodie. That's what I said. He was a professional because the way he did that, he's a professional, right? So I wasn't, hopeful. And I did get an email. This happened in March. I had an email in April. They said, "Oh, sorry, no can do. We couldn't see anything, couldn't find anything," which was fine. But I have to tell you, within a week, I got my money back from Benitsmo. Before I got my money back from Bank of America because you had to file a claim. They didn't because my bank was in default. And you have scheduled payment. So Bank of America was making some advances to me while they were investigating this thing. So all in all, even Apple was the one I had the most because I have Apple Pay. I had the most trouble with because I think I had a little glitch where they were not going to pay, and then I was like, "Oh, no, 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 no!" And then they did end up reversing whatever they had done. So all in all, I did get all my $6,400 dollars back that they had charged to my credit card, drained my bank accounts. The moral of the story is there is crime here, petty crime. Petty crime meaning something that is not so serious. Petty theft is if they steal something from you that is less than $500 because I had to go look it up this morning. But grand theft is something that's $1,000 or more. So definitely I was grand thefted. But another definition says if somebody takes your wallet from your purse, you did not willingly give it, it's robbery. All right, sis? So I got robbed in Panama. And you know what? I went back and I checked on YouTube. Other people have gotten robbed too. So I'm not the only one. People have gotten their phones taken from their purse in Casco Viejo. So the moral of the story is it can happen. And as a single older female, you have to be careful. Let's see. I thought I bought it. So first of all, and I have 10, I promise you I would give you 10 safety tips, okay? That backpack is a no-no for my wallet to be in there. You can have your backpack. And the only reason I started using the backpack was to have water, a towel to wipe off all the sweat because I'm out there all the time, a fan, and other things, and if I go and I buy something that's not heavy. I had seen people on the metro wearing their backpack in the front. Why didn't I do that? Duh. And your wallet should be close to your body. So now I started wearing my wallet, I bought like a little purse with a long strap, and then I can put it over a shoulder. I wish I could model for you, but you know what I mean. And then so it's in front of me. And I made sure whatever other wallet or bag that I buy has a zipper and another flap, making it easier for somebody to reach in. Okay. But the best thing, if you're going to be out in the crowd, is a crossbody, the one that's really tight. Oh, there it is. All right. This is a crossbody that you would wear. This I like, okay? When I'm traveling, when I was in Africa, that's what I had. So, but I would prefer for the zippers to be on the inside. So if you're a manufacturer and you're on Amazon and you're making one of these, make sure, do another one where you have the zipper on the inside. So if you're gonna, number one, if you're gonna wear a backpack, make sure you have only non-essential stuff in there and keep your wallet close to you. Number two, use a crossbody, okay? If you're gonna be going out in public. Now, when you're going, you're gonna go on the Uber, you wanna be cute, you may want to, you could wear another regular purse. Credit card with IDs. So make sure you change the limit on your credit card. Maybe you could say $500 a day, because if there was a limit, they could have used that credit card one time and that would have been it. And I fault Bank of America. Before I left, when I was traveling Europe, it used to be you call the bank, you say, I'm going to be gone from this day to that day. And then if they see anything suspicious, they would block it until they hear from you. Before I came to Panama, I tried to do that. I said, I'm going to be going to Panama. They're like, oh, you no longer need to let us know that. If we see anything unusual, we'll let you know. Well, duh. Again, they approve the first $1,500. Now, I don't charge that much money. That should have been a warning that it's unusual activity. So I'm like, you bet you're going to give my money back. That was stupid. So I changed my daily limits. And the other thing I did, I changed my contacts so that they have access to me, because this phone, I have Wi-Fi wherever I am. I have T-Mobile. So that was something else I did. Make sure you change your limit. And I think some sisters also give some other some other tips. Okay. Always have like your cedula and your passport in your phone as a document that's easily accessible in case something happens. That way you can have access to your ID. Number four, set daily limits again on your credit cards. Every single credit card. Before I came to Panama, I had gone down to like 2 credit cards. I used to have like, you know how we do, because I had eliminated all my debt. Excuse me. And I'm like, if I don't have it, then I don't have to pay for it. I don't have to worry about it. So now I have my credit card from Bank of America, I have my debit card from Bank of America, and I have my debit card from Benismo. And that's all I have. I don't need any more credit cards. Okay? And your alerts, make sure, excuse me, that if someone has access to your card, that you are able to get the alerts. That's very important. Number 5, have your phone on audio when you're out and about. And if you're sitting eating, you could put the phone on vibrate, but make sure it's close to you so that if it starts buzzing, then you can see. You can choose not to respond. But if you see something like from the US, excuse me, very important. Number 6, be aware. which is what I didn't do. I was oblivious, having fun. I'm in Panama, la 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 la. Dumb, dumb, and dumber. That was my fault. And that's why I still love Panama, because I'm the one who acted stupid. I mean, wherever you go. And I'm reading about they have gangs of girls who are robbing people in Europe, Barcelona, in Paris. And when I was going to Paris, they scared. They're like, oh, be careful. Don't fall asleep on the train. Don't do this. Don't do that. And I knew that intellectually, and I still became a victim. I was so mad at myself. If somebody bumps into you, that is a sure sign they are trying to get something from you. So as soon as that guy had bumped into me, if I had turned around and looked, I would have said, are you there? Are you there? I would have screamed. And somebody, because, the police is not that far. But because these guys were professionals, the other one said, oh, I see two potential ones for you walking your way. And they just parked in strategic position, just it's like when you're at the airport and those inspectors are looking at your body language. That's what these thieves did. They look at my body language saying, come and get me, I'm stupid. But at least I can laugh about it now, right? There was no knife, no weapon pointed against me. I give God the glory. So be aware. If somebody bumps into you, check yourself real quick and scream. That'll get somebody's attention. Somebody said you need to have your head swivel 360. That means you need to know who's around you, in front of you, behind you. Yeah. You in the city. Casco Viejo, you go into those bars and people are rubbing against you. Watch your phone. They're going to get you. And a lot of people have had their phones taken that way. Number 9, avoid questionable areas. Well, I was in an area that was questionable. And that's why people say, what time did it happen? Was it at nighttime? Don't think because you in the middle of the day that you cannot be robbed. You can. I see in the news where people, like in Mexico City, if you know how we're taking pictures and they just come, with the motorbike and then poof, and then they're gone. They're gone. People in Colombia are talking about getting in cabs and the cabs are robbed. The drivers are robbing them. So avoid questionable areas. Don't go late at night. If you're going to be in crowds, be aware. Avoid nighttime crowds. So if you're going to be nighttime, you have to find some kind of crossbody that is close. Don't leave your purse sitting at the table on the chair while you go dancing. The waiters are robbing you. Yikes, be careful. Like on the buses. The other day, I had an experience. I don't think I've shared that with anybody, but I think I went to Ray. Usually when I go to Ray, I have my backpack with food, so you can take that. And then I have a bag, and then I'm carrying this. And this guy, a tall black guy, he came and stood really close to me, put his hand up there, almost like he was shielding me. And I'm like, did I ask you to shield me? And his body was rubbing against me. And I kept moving away, looking at him funny. And I'm like, excuse me, right? And, I did have a crossbody and I'm hanging onto my purse. And I'm like, you rubbed me once. You're not going to rub me twice. No, ma'am. No, sir. But anyway, we were good. So be aware on the metro and on the buses. I'm on those all the time. So when I am on the buses and the metro, if it's busy, crowded, first of all, I have my mask on, and then I'm hanging onto my purse. And my purse, again, has the zipper and the flap. So I feel a little bit protected. But so hopefully I give you the 10. No backpacks. If you're going to use a backpack, put it in the front. Use a crossbody. Your credit card with ID, have access to those in your phone. Number 4, set limits on your credit cards and make sure you have access to the alerts if they try to call you. Number 5, have your phone on audio, or if you're dining with someone, on vibrate but visible. Okay. Number 6, be aware of your surrounding. Number 7, if you get bumped, check yourself because you probably got robbed. 360 swivel head, know what's happening. Number 9, avoid questionable areas, especially at night. And be alert on the buses and crowded transportation hubs. So, guys, I wanted to share that with you to tell you that if it can happen to me, and I'm a seasoned traveler, I thought I was, and I still got robbed. So, which means it can happen to anyone. It's just like COVID. I remember I said, I take precautions and I still got COVID. So things will happen. If it hasn't happened to you, be grateful, be thankful, but it can happen. And yes, I got robbed in Panama City, my beautiful Panama that I still love, because regardless of that incident, it was my own fault. I am responsible for being stupid and not being aware and letting my guard down. So be careful, learn from me, take your Spanish classes, because let me tell you, when I was giving that police report, if I had to go to Google Translate for everything, it would have been a nightmare. So I was grateful for that. So this is my story and I'm sticking to it. I live to talk about it, and I thank God, because if I was robbed somewhere else in a certain place, we know where that is. Usually you might end up getting hurt, if not killed, right? So I am grateful to the Lord for keeping me safe. And I have learned from my mistake, and hopefully the measures I've taken will keep me protected. If it happens again, I'm going to be really mad at myself. But anyway, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Okay. Set my next goal. I won't share it yet. If I see that we're getting closer, I'll let you know. And someone asked me, it's like, let us know when you're going live again. I don't do lives. I only did that live to let you know that we had met the goal. But if you guys want me to go to do some lives, maybe once a week, I don't mind. I just don't want to be on there for 2-3 hours. If you have specific questions, I know I answer lots of messages and give info that way. But if you feel like we're going to connect more, I think it's part of growing community and being together. I don't mind. I'm retired, remember? All right, so I'm going to go. This is a longer video, and I knew it would be a bit long because, I could not cut anything out. I had to let you know how it happened, why it happened, the process, and what I've done to mitigate that happening again, and what you can do, the 10 tips I gave you to keep yourself safe. All right. God loves you. I love you. Thanks for watching. Au revoir. Bye bye. Today, I wanted to bring your attention to the Museo, the Afro-Antillano Museo, which is, its goal is to show how the Afro-Antillians who came to work the canal, their living condition. The home is as exactly a prototype of that kind of life in those days. So definitely you want to make a stop and check the Afro-Antillano Museum in Panama City.